Good morning, YouTube. I should really stop filming right out of bed and do something with myself for one of these videos one of these days. But, oh well, au naturel. I'm big on supporting body image, so I'll take one for the team. Hi, kitty cat. Okay, back to the point. Are you independent, dependent, codependent, or antidependent? Of course, I made up that last one. That's not a word. But I didn't know what else to call people that are like this. So let's review the terms and figure out where we stand. Codependent people. You can find them a lot in relationships where there is addiction or potentially abuse, or, well, basically in a codependent relationship, they're both dependent upon each other. That's why it's codependency. And for instance, in the addiction situation, the addict is dependent on the drug, and the family member doesn't even have to be their spouse or partner. It can just be their family member, their children, their parent, a sibling, a friend, is dependent on the drama and chaos that they create and trying to control and help the addict, so that when the addict recovers and they don't have all those problems that need to be taken care of, the person who was codependent on them now has no focus for their energies and has no life of their own because they made their life revolve around the person they were codependent for. And it's called codependent because the addict is also dependent on their codependent friend, partner, associate to rescue them from their problems and situations that they create. So if you're in a codependent relationship, you're both, neither of you are independent people, and you're both reliant on each other for assistance, for life. And should the other one disappear for whatever reason, you wouldn't know what to do with yourself because you are dependent, and they're equally dependent on you. It's a damaging relationship. Dependent people are simply dependent on their partner. So you have one person who could be, again, a family member, friend, doesn't matter who the person is. You can develop dependent relationships on anyone. And this person can span the spectrum of any personality. They could be controlling. They could be setting their sights on your dependency and putting you in a position to be dependent upon them. They could be taking advantage of your dependent character by already being a controlling person. Or you can just have an average person who ends up with someone who is dependent, and oftentimes if the person has a solid emotional health, they'll start to try and distance themselves from a dependent individual because they'll feel suffocated and like things are being clingy. If you wind up with someone with a personality disorder themselves who needs and craves that attention, and they rely on you to feed off you, potentially narcissistic fuel, as a dependent person, they require that ego boost, then you kind of have a codependent relationship, not a dependent relationship. But a dependent person is exactly how it sounds. They are dependent, like a child is dependent on their parent for most of their basic decisions, needs in life. They need reassurance, they need assistance for caring for themselves in a way that a person of their equal age range should be able to do. Lighting in here is terrible, and I look terrible, and I literally did just wake up. So Codependent, you're both dependent on each other, and it's an unhealthy dynamic to have. So if you find yourself in relationships like this, you need to work on you, because you'll continue to repeat the pattern in every relationship that you find, because you're looking for someone you can be codependent with. Same with dependency. If you find that you're in a situation where you think if your partner left you, you couldn't fend for yourself, or your friend or your parent or whoever is subsuming care for you left you, you couldn't care for yourself, you may be a dependent individual. You need to work on building up your self-esteem and your skill set, so that you don't have to rely on other people for your basics, and you'll be able to choose a partner more intentionally for who they are, not how they can care for you, because you may get yourself into some damaging situations that way. Independent. Independent person is the kind of person who can care for themselves. They can form relationships. They can help each other equally. They don't see themselves as above or below people. And if they're single, they're fine with it. If they're in a relationship, they're fine with it. Have you ever seen the diagram of the two circles with a little overlapping piece? It should be a whole, complete adult individual who is solid body, mind, spirit, lifestyle, who can fend for themselves, who is their own individual with another individual who is also independent, and they join over each other and they have this shared space. But they're two independent individuals coming together to share their life together. An independent person isn't overly reliant on self-esteem, reassurance, decision-making, practical things from other people, any other people. They're fine on their own, but they can also coexist peacefully, happily, and it's like double the power when they join up with another independent, solid person. Now, I said anti-dependent. I just made that word up. They're misanthrope. That's not the right word either, but it's too early. It's not even antisocial, because antisocial people can form relationships. I just wanted to go with the independent thing. Anyway, are you a person who is profoundly, potentially damagingly independent? You refuse the help of other people because you believe it makes you feel weak. You refuse the input of other people because you believe it makes you feel weak. Even if you don't know the answer, you could use some suggestions, say at your job. You don't know how to do the job you were just told to do, and it'd be helpful to ask for some input, but you don't want to be seen as weak. You find yourself in a damaging financial situation or other situation and you need help, and you won't ask for it because you're too proud. You are profoundly independent, and it has more to do with your ego than it does your actual independence, because you're not necessarily independent even though you're separate from other people and the use of other people, because you can't form proper give and take relationships with your independent streak. You're actually doing more harm than good, and you have a potentially fragile ego, and you pride yourself on being that independent, strong person, when really that's exemplifies a weakness in you that you may not be aware of, by not being able to reach out, ask for help, and work cooperatively with other people, because you don't want to be seen as weak. It actually translates to a weakness, and some people can tell that, which is, if you can learn to work more cooperatively with other people, it would be to your benefit. It doesn't make you look weak, because there are people who can spot someone who is non-dependent and tell that it's actually a weakness due to their ego that's very fragile, and they don't want to be seen as weak, and they pride themselves on the identity of strong. and resilient even in situations when they're in over their head. You don't need to be weak to work together, to form bonds that are equal, to ask for help, to show vulnerability. That's actually a strength. Independence where we want to be. This video was all over the place. I coughed a lot. I'm sorry. I'm in a rush. I'm trying to get ready for church. So there you have it. It's my video barf for day. Codependent, but like this. Dependent, I need you, don't leave me, I need you to do everything for me, or much of the things for me because I can't do them for myself. Independent, it's all good. Whatever happens, I'm good. And I'm good with you too, because that's just bonus. Non-dependent, I don't need anyone, ever. I'm good. I've got everything figured out, and showing anything besides that is a form of weakness. I don't need you. I'm strong. And if you find yourself in any of the categories, we can change categories in various relationships over time. And various times of our life find ourselves morphing from category to category here. But if you find a pattern that you tend to fall into anything besides independent, that is a huge opportunity for self-growth. It will work on you to strengthen up those areas that aren't so appropriate in adult relating, and continue to be a pattern for you. It allows you the opportunity to grow, but also as you go on to interact with other people henceforth in life, or try to find a partner, your relationships will be far more equal. You'll be on equal, fulfilling footing. Good morning, goodbye. What a video.